Good evening. Welcome to the live. Thank you for joining me. So if you are new to this page, my name is Wupe, aka the Mindpreneur. I explore money principles, tools, and strategies for a happy, healthy, but most importantly, a whole life. And from the event description and also just from the title of the live, you will know that today we're talking about the power of identity. Let me just ensure that we're talking about the power of identity. Yeah, it was a bit dark. I think that's better. We're talking about the power of identity. Okay. So what do we mean when we talk about identity? Identity is basically and I wrote something down. Identity is basically the culmination of the beliefs about who you are, and these beliefs are what drive us. Okay, so identity, like I have said, is the culmination of beliefs about who we think we are. Okay, so how can I say? When someone says, "Who are you?" what comes out after that is what you identify as. So when you're filling a form, for instance, whether it's to apply for a passport, or you're opening an account, they'll ask you questions about identity, right? So we talk about where you come from, your nationality. All those things are part of your identity. When they ask you about religion, all those things are part. So you talk about religion. What is your marital status? Where do you come from? What do you do? So all those things go to the description of who we are, and all those hang on the important aspect of identity. And even if we don't think much about it, it's who we believe we are. It goes to the core of beliefs. So for instance, how do you know that you are Zambian? How do you know? Maybe you saw your birth certificate. Maybe your parents told you were Zambian. Maybe your teacher told you were Zambian, and that's how you came to the conclusion that you are. But everything we believe about ourselves, the choice of the person who we marry, the choice of the school we choose to go and study in, the choice of the church we go to pray, the choice of the hospitals we go to, all those things hinge on identity, which is the beliefs we have about who we are. Okay, so that's our working definition. It's the culmination. So it's not just the beliefs existing about who you are, but it's the culmination, the build-up of those beliefs. That's what makes you who you are. Now, these are very powerful. The culmination of these things are very, very powerful, because these beliefs ultimately control who we are. Like I have said, the choices we make, they control how we feel, they control what we believe, and how we interact and how we show up in the world. So our identity is powerful because it decides who we actually are, how we show up in the world, the successes or the failures we have. They are all rooted in our belief systems. Okay? So when you do so, ever heard of someone who's just like, okay, let me use myself as an example. I usually say I am not a morning person. And recently I saw a video, I digress. Recently I saw a video on TikTok, and this lady was talking about the power of I am, the words I am. So in the Bible, like when God said I am, the actual root meaning of the word that was there was the meaning of the word that was used for I am when the word was interpreted into English. The word that was used there means it is so, right? So let's say I say I am not a morning person, right? So we say it as a matter of fact. I say it as a matter of fact because I believe. But when did I decide that I was not a morning person? And I'll tell you the power of identity from that simple example. I think I was 17 or 18. This time I was interning at an NGO called Youth Media. It was where we were taught as child journalists. At the time, best times of my life, because that was the time I was like in a job I really, really enjoyed. I was naive and excited. So one morning I went to work. It was early morning, and I didn't know that, being a morning person or being nocturnal was a thing, or not being it was a thing. So I go into the office, my boss says good morning, and I think I may have answered in a low tone because generally I am hype and loud. So it was morning, and because usually that particular supervisor and I met in the afternoon, that morning she's like good morning, and I'm just like good morning, and I'm not as hype as she was used to me being. And so she's like, Whoopi, you're not a morning person. And that for the first time it hit me. I'm like, morning person. And then I started to pay attention. And from that moment on, I realized that mornings were not my thing. Like, I even used to tell my friends, I'm like, if people murder people in the morning, it should be legal. Why are people talking? Why can't we all just be quiet? And it was so. And it didn't mean that I couldn't change that about myself. All right. But I took on that identity, and now it became the clutch I used to be rude to people in the morning, to not talk to people in the morning, to sulk when people talk to me in the morning. So it became my clutch, the whole I am not a morning person. And so maybe it may be true that scientifically there's such a thing as people who are not morning people. Like me, I'd rather until 11 hours, can we just not talk? Can you just leave me in my space to think? Can we be quiet? That's what I prefer. But that doesn't have to be the deciding factor of how I show up in the world. So because I know that I struggle a little bit in the morning, which is something I have started to do deliberately, because I struggle a little bit in the morning, I make the extra effort to smile in the morning, especially for people who do not know me, because they do not need to suffer the consequences of my own emotions, right? So I'm deliberate about it. When I wake up in the morning and my husband is there, I'll be deliberate about morning, baby, right? I'm conscious about it. So because I've done it so many times, these days I'm not even I'm not a morning person. So there are days when, yes, I struggle with managing my mornings, but that is not the definition of who I am. I have not taken it on as an identity. But I use that story to illustrate how just because biologically or chemically you are created not to enjoy a particular time of the day, you don't have to take it on as who you are, and it doesn't have to define how you show up in the world. And so what you believe becomes who you are. So if I'm not a morning person, for instance, yes, agreed, Whoopi, you're not a morning person. I work on projects at the office. Then we have a big donor who is coming into the office, and we're supposed to be negotiating for finances to help my projects move forward at work, right? My boss is there, and I hold on to the fact that I am not a morning person and decide I'm not going to talk in the meeting because why you all talking? Killing people in the morning should be legal. Why do we have to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or 6 a.m.? And I hold on to that. What does it mean for my projects and the money that needs to come? They'll be like, we don't have competent people, because if I don't talk to these strangers who come into my office to help them see why my project needs that money, they could easily go away and assume that I'm not competent for the job. But I have to show up and put a smile on my face, and it's not pretending. I have to show up and put a smile on my face and share, even if in that moment I don't want to, and share what it is about the project and why this money is needed, why the communities we support need this money. The other person can walk away thinking it's not necessary. Let's give it to someone who needs it more. Right? So that's the power of identity and how it shows up in our everyday life. But in the description, I had talked about a lot about how Sometimes you feel like you are meant for more, right? You feel like, you know what, there's something more in me that I need to be, but there's a struggle in becoming, right? You have people who love you, you have friends who care for you, and it just feels like it's not enough, right? And you're like, I'm stuck somewhere. Like, why am I so stuck? You know, and sometimes it goes back into the question of identity, like I am saying. How are you seeing yourself? Okay, so we start at the basics. You, maybe like me, you're not a morning person. See how bright I am. Like, nights, I sleep at 2 a.m. and like I'd rather be awake at night and do it, because this is where I have my highest level of energy, right? So maybe you feel like, you know what, I'm meant for more, but I am stuck, right? How can I become that person I want to be? What are the steps I need to take? Okay, and why am I, I felt so in the description, like I had said, sometimes you have people who love and care for you. You have these dreams and you have these goals and you have these ambitions, but you're struggling to get to the end, to get to that person you want to be. And tonight I'm encouraging you to go back and dig deep into that belief system that you have about who you are, right? So like I'm saying, for me, I say I'm not a morning person, so I work better at night. So why not put out more work at night? Still work, yes, during the day, like I say, show up, do what you need to do in the morning, but if you have the best output at night, try and make use of that time, like I am doing now. I mean, I know a lot of people might even be sleeping right now, so I use this time to practice my speaking skills, to practice how I can engage with people, to practice how I can connect with people on the other side who are struggling with the things that I struggle with. Like, I know I am made for more, but how do I get there, right? So that's what I mean about identity. Digging deep into those beliefs about who you are. When we say I am, what do you put at the end of the sentence? If I say, hi, my name is Wupe, I am a child of God, I am a growth speaker, writer, Zambian lawyer, wife of one husband, Sunday school teacher, all those things are telling you about the beliefs about who I am, right? It goes to, why am I a Sunday school teacher? I believe in, spreading the gospel of God is very important, and I believe teaching it to children, because when we put the seeds in their hearts, they're not going to forget about it, right? So it tells you a bit about who I am. I am the wife of Moses Malaya. Why is it so important to me that I am a wife and tell it to people? It tells you, for me, it means I love, and I do. I love. I'm a hopeless romantic. So it tells you about my belief in the power of family and the importance of family. Why am I an author of books? Because I am passionate about writing. This is something I enjoy. I am a growth speaker. I love to give back. So it tells you about who I am, the belief system, and how those things have culminated over the years. I am a Zambian lawyer. I won't talk much about that, because you know what? That's my education. It's how I was educated. And honestly, because I'm a human, a human being and a woman in this society, my career is something that I will always dangle, because people like when you tell them your career, oh, I am a lawyer. I mean, everything I do on this platform has nothing to do with law, but every time I talk about the fact that I'm a lawyer and I'm at the bar going on 5 years now, people are more apt to listen, right? And so that's why I use that, because people are like, obviously she's smart, she has read a lot of books. And granted, I have read a lot of books that are non-law, but people are more inclined to listen because I say that. So I always throw it in at the end of the bag, because again, identity. I want to have a voice at the table. My question for you is, what is that for you? What does that look like for you? Who are you? Right? And so how then can I give some practical tools about helping with identity to help us get out of the trap of wondering, I wish I was made for more. What can I do? I mean, I haven't fully gotten to my end, knowing my purpose fully and why I'm here. Even me doing this Mindpreneur page is sort of a journey to getting there. But so here I am sharing my journey, and this is where I am in the journey and the things that I have discovered about getting to purpose. Right? One of the things that has helped is surrounding myself with the right people. Right? So like I said, you may be surrounded with people who love and care for you, who are your family, who are your friends. But you need to surround yourself also with people who, it can even be already in part of your circle of influence, right? But ask these people, for instance, what are you good at? For instance, an example from my own life, this whole speaking thing and doing Facebook Lives and opening a YouTube channel and social media came from my sister and my best friend telling me, you have a space you have a place on that space, and you need to go and put your voice there. And it took years and years before I came here. Honestly, the next push was after I got married. My sister my sister and my best friend, she'd been telling this to me for years. And then when we got married, my husband saw how I constantly was always watching YouTube videos, and he was always in awe. He says, babe, the content you consume is content that you can create. I hear it in your conversations with people. I hear it in our conversations. And because when my husband and I got married at the time, I say we didn't know each other very well when we got married. We did that thing where we dated for like, I don't know what, a month or two, and decided we were going to get married. Story for another day. But also prior to that, we hadn't had a friendship wherein we knew each other for so long. So coming from him, I knew he loved me. I know he loves me. And for him to say that, because in my mind, I'm like, he doesn't fully know me very well yet, but he identifies something in me. It pushed me to come onto this space, right? I said, you know what, let's try. Let's see what that is. But also, like I have shared on one of my YouTube videos, I was struggling with insecurity, with my appearance. I am dark-skinned, as you can see, something I got teased about very much when I was young. I have a bit of a weird dental formula. I have a big forehead. So I struggled a lot with beauty. So one of the things that I challenged myself to do getting onto this space, in the social media space, was me being accepting of myself. So not only because there was the one side where people, the support system that I have had told me that I had a gift and I had a space in the media space to share what I have, the knowledge that I have, the gifts that I have, right? There was that one side, my husband and my best friend who had known me for so long, and another person who hadn't known me a very long time. Two people from two extremes in my experience of my life, all saying the same thing. There's a space for you, right? In this space, go and share your gifts there. And then there was also the side where I was struggling with my own insecurity about my appearance, about my complexion, about my dental formula, about my big forehead. I had a fear inside, but this became a tool I could use to build my own confidence, to build my own self-esteem. And that's the power of surrounding yourself with the right people. But also sometimes the surrounding ourselves with the right people can be deficient, because people know that you already struggle, for instance, for me, with beauty and appearance and those kinds of things. It took some time for me to get to a place where I say, you know what, it's okay for me not to it's okay for me not to be Beyonce beautiful. It's okay for me to be Whoopi beautiful, and it took some time, but we got there. But we don't get there on our own. We get there by taking uncomfortable, how can I forget my favorite statement? Taking uncomfortable action. Like for me, it was coming into this space that I really wanted to come in and overcoming a fear of how the world would receive that. So yeah, so that's how we got here, and that's the power of surrounding yourself and having a good support system. So I was saying that sometimes family and friends and people who've known you a long time are deficient in that they will try and protect you from the insecurities they know that you have. Lucky for me, my support system said, hey, go. And and sometimes they're like, but you're so pretty, what do you mean? And I'm like, but I don't see it, right? And that's how I used to be. But I had to get to a place where I said, you know what, it's okay to not be beautiful, and it's okay to be whoopee beautiful. But that was my struggle. And if I had held on to that belief that said, you know what, you don't have the dental formula of the people that make it on social media. You don't have the skin tone. You don't have the forehead for it, right? I would have never come on here. And now the conversations that I have with people in my inbox, on my WhatsApp, goes around, I am glad you came onto this space, because when I see you, I am comfortable to come here. Or when you see things like you did something, you said something, or you did something that inspired me to do something, that makes all the difference for me. And I always say, it's not even about numbers. It's not about impacting 100,000 people, 1,000,000 people. It's about that one person that is like me, who was scared and they took a step to be, and that's what matters. But the question is, what does that look like for you? Okay, so number one, surround yourself with the right people. I was watching some of my favorite accounts to follow on social media. Obviously Shadrach the accountant, Munyumba Mutwale, they have a show, and I missed it today. I have to go back and catch up. They have a show, I forget what it's called. It comes on every Sunday. Last week or the week before, they talked about mastery, right? The importance of mastery. It comes on Shadrach Chartered Accountant page, Munyumba Mutwale's page. I'm so sad. I hate it when I forget people's name. And there's a third person, but his last name is Mr. Sinyangwe. So it appears on all three of their pages, and they have such great personal development content on there. I suggest you should watch that. Or if you're like me and have evening services on Sundays and you can't watch that, catch up with that. So anyway, my point, 2 weeks ago, they talked about mastery. That episode was fire. It was fire. All of them are, but that one was powerful. And something they said, and Munyumba said, was make a list of people you would like to be like, right? So you make a list of those people. Where is my list? I don't have so many journals. You make a list of all those people. Make a list of 10 he suggested, and then put them in the order of mastery, right? Where you know that this person has achieved the mastery you desire, and then come all the way down to number 10. Then start with one trying to emulate number 10. What are the skills that person, hey, English. What are the skills that person, look, this person has skills that you want to have, okay? How do you achieve those skills? Start to emulate them. Study that person. We start from the bottom because they are easier. So you start from the easy going up to the more complicated. I love Oprah Winfrey, but she has mastered years of connecting with people, of building a business. So if I decide, yes, can I listen to Oprah? Absolutely. I should watch her techniques. I should learn from her. But the mastery level is, I shouldn't start there, right? I should learn from her, yes, but I should start from someone who is reachable to me. So if I want to be a speaker, for instance, I should go and look for someone who is at an attainable level for me where I am at, and then become that speaker. When I feel like I have achieved that level of speaking, I should then move on to the next step. I could start with a Zambian, because there are many great Zambian speakers. I could listen to, guys, have you listened to Pompey's lyrics? Apart from the music, there's a way he writes, even for a writer, there's a way Pompey writes that is so unique. I love the way Pompey writes. He's one of my favorite lyricists. He's not out to entertain. His music is very purposeful. His wording is very intentional. So I can listen to that music, right, while I am emulating or follow his style of writing while I'm emulating a speaker. I can learn the tone of voice. I can, when I'm trying to connect with you, do you get me? Things like that. Guys, I'm learning vocal variety. It's going to be amazing. And body language. How am I postured? Can you trust me when I speak to you? So all those things. So I start maybe with the locals, people who are close to me, because when a person is Zambian, I'm like, Pompey is Zambian. So what are his habits? What helps he? And Pompey is a Christian. What are his habits? What is he reading? How does he spend his time? And then when I learn his tactics, I apply them to my own way of life and in my speaking and in my writing when I author books. I improve. Then I move to the next person. Let's talk about Vusi Tembakwayo. Like I can listen to Vusi for days. He's so intriguing. Like he is wise, how he shares his life experiences. So my point is, you keep, like we were taught in that video with the gentleman, you keep improving, you keep improving, you keep improving. But again, identity comes in this, where it's the culmination of beliefs. Do I believe I can be a good writer? Yes, I can. How am I acting on those beliefs? I have identified a person who does it better than me. I'm so excited. I recently discovered Patience Chisenga Meya. I'm so excited. So that's another writer. That's another speaker who I'm like, I want to be like that. Like her confidence, the way she owns her space, But my point is, I'm not there. But do I believe that I have what it takes on the inside to be like her, to write like Pompey, to speak like Chisenga, to rise up to Vusi Tembakwayo, to rise up to Chimamanda, to rise up to Oprah? But I have to first identify them. After I identify them, take steps. What is it that I need to do to become like them? What is it that they do? Where can I find literature about them? Where can I find videos about them? And how can I emulate them while drawing the line of not trying to become them, to be the truest version of myself while learning from them? So that is what it looks like to surround yourself with people. So they don't really have to be physical. You find a mentor. But also I think surrounding yourself with people is, what it also looks like is teaching, right? So when you have learned, teach. This is something I'm doing here, right? I'm not an expert at that yet. I'm just saying, I got to a place one day where I was struggling with finding my purpose, and I decided I'm going to use this platform to discover what that is. I'm going to take uncomfortable action and show up as often as I can, and I'm going to share my journey. So on my journey, I have found that surrounding myself with the right people is important. And a good way to surround myself with the right people is to show up here, because I don't know who is on the other side of this gadget, who knows better than me, who can teach me on this journey. And there's so many times, like this week, I have received inboxes about possible collaborations because I showed up here. Collaborations I wouldn't have had if I didn't show up here. So when you come to teach where you're at, that helps too. So it's getting a mentor, tapping into your already existing support system, and also coming out to teach what you know. And the second step I would also share with you about identity that helps is getting clear on what you want to be. Sometimes we feel, not sometimes, almost 100% of the time, we are feeling frustrated with where we are at in life because we are not clear on where it is we want to go, right? So I'm always saying, what does success look like to you? You're feeling frustrated now, you're like, I have friends and family who love me, but I just feel like it's not enough. I was made for more, but I just feel like it's not enough. When you sit down with yourself and you have an honest conversation with yourself, pen to paper, if you were to be happy and satisfied and thriving in gratitude What would that look like? Get a pen, get a paper, sit down. What would that look like? Would you be driving a Mercedes Benz? I don't like those kinds of things where happiness is tied to things, because it doesn't have to be. But if you were to achieve the highest, truest expression of yourself where you are content, what would that look like? Would you be speaking in front of people, sharing experiences? Would you be teaching? Would you be running a multi-million-dollar business? Would you be giving? I love to give. Would you be giving? Would you be in a community attending to widows and orphans? Would you be having meaningful conversations with people that help change their lives? What is it for you? What does that look like for you? Write it down. Okay? That's the bigger picture. And then we go on to do the next thing. What are the steps you need to take to become that? And one of my favorite accounts again to follow on social media is Dr. Clinton Kadochi, great friend of mine now. Known each other like 2 minutes, and it's like we've known each other forever, right? One of the things he wrote on his page, go and like that page as well. One of the things he wrote recently, a day or two ago on his page, was for us to be careful not to share our goals and dreams. Doc, if you see this, please correct me. To be careful not to share our goals and dreams, because when we talk about our goals and dreams, it produces the happy hormone that makes you feel like you have achieved it. And that's the power of dreaming, right? The more you talk about it, the more you talk about it, the more you write about it, it produces that feeling like you have already achieved it. And for people who are disciplined, it becomes the driving force behind actually becoming. Okay? So when he said this is to drive you to focus on the doing rather than just the dreaming. You have to take a step further than dream and actually do. So my point with us, what was my point? Yes, my point with us writing, after writing the bigger picture and then writing smaller steps to get to the bigger picture, was to tell you, I'm always preaching on this page about progress over perfection. Why am I so big on progress over perfection? Because progress actually makes happiness. When you have a big goal and set smaller goals, you achieving those minute goals always makes you a tad bit happier, but also it wires your brain to understand that it is possible. If I can achieve this small goal here, it means I can achieve the next small goal. It means I can achieve the next small goal. It means I can achieve the next small goal. And guess what is happening? You're creating building blocks to the bigger picture. And that's why that is so important. And then you will find that frustration starts to go down just a little bit. I'll use an example of myself again, right? I always thought, I need to build like the greatest NGO in the world, taking care of orphans and widows and vulnerable children. Oh, well done, Bupe. That's great. That is noble ambition, girl. Good for you. Go for that. But because I was starting at the bigger goal, I found that I was struggling. And then I had to come back down and sit and say, okay, that's the big picture. But what do we do to get there? I was frustrated because I constantly had to ask people for money to help my people. So I said, okay, I'll have to build a level of influence. I have to build integrity. I have to be a person people can trust. I have to be relatable. People will need to see my heart. And that's what I set out to do. And what can I do every day? I will show up here. If anyone knows me, I will show up here every single day. Why? I don't show up to just show up. I have a bigger picture. We hustle with purpose. Why am I trying to build influence? It's because I have a mission to orphans and widows and fatherless children. Why? Identity. that is my area of calling, I believe. That's what I have chosen, is my purpose. So it doesn't start and end with me. So I show up to these lives, I show up and make posts, I show up and engage with people because I am looking for people who have a mind like mine, with whom we can go on this journey to give. We can go on this journey to live out purpose. Okay? But this is a small step in the grander scheme of things. But every time someone says, Wupe, when you did that video, I learned so much. Wupe, I like that. How can I tap into that? Wupe, you inspired me to do this. So for me, that little progress, the fact that I can reach out to you and touch your life, even in just a small way, is that little building block, right? That builds up to the bigger picture and building that influence. And when I write books and I earn, it means I'm building my business with the goal of the okay, English is hard. Just give me a moment. The multi-million dollar business that will give me money to go and help people in the community, right? But am I waiting to become a multi-million dollar person to help people in the community? No. Even from what I earn, I have a list of people who I have been called to within my sphere of influence. I am going out to help. But what does it start with? Small building blocks. And sometimes the vision doesn't have to be clear the first time you sit down. It keeps refining. Let me tell you, this page used to be Bill Pala. Then it's changed and it became the Givers Project Zambia. Then it changed and it became Wisdom and the Word. Then it changed and became the Mindpreneur. So I have given myself permission to evolve, but the vision stays the same, right? The vision is the same, but I'm giving myself permission to evolve and grow in the direction of the vision. So you write the vision. What is the bigger picture? What does that look like when I'm living out the best version of myself? Okay, good. But what can I do now, today? What can I do now, today, tomorrow, to build up to the next place? So the most important thing is to get clear on what you want to do, not what people want you to do, not what people have told you. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What does that look like? When you get clear on that, then you take steps towards that vision, because ultimately you're going to, if you're a Christian like me, I believe we're going to be called to account for every gift that we have, for me having a good, strong body. How did I use that to the glory of God? We're going to be called to account for that. And when I stand before God, I want to tell him, Lord, I used it all. For as long as you kept me alive, every gift. If I am a speaker, Lord, I spoke. If I am a giver, Lord, I gave. If I am compassion, Lord, I showed compassion. If I love family, Lord, I loved. And for me, that is the driving force. When I stand before God, I say, for as long as you gave me life, I used up everything. And that's important for me. But what is that for you? What are the beliefs that you have that culminate into who you believe you are? Beyond your name, beyond your nationality, beyond your marital status, beyond your job. Who are you? And it doesn't have to be deep. Because sometimes when you're like, who are you? People are like, oh, that's such a deep question. It's just that, what does that look like? I want to drive a Benz. I want to give to people. And the reason why I focus on giving to people is that I have learned over the years that true fulfillment for me has come from serving other people, from teaching children in a community, from teaching children in a community school, from someone sharing with me what their struggle is and me going back to say, how can I meet that need? Can I pray for them? Do I have the financial resource to meet that? can I just sit in silence with them and hear what their troubles are, even if I can't fix it? And I feel like that's where true fulfillment is. So when we say who are we, I think that the art of fulfillment truly lies in the service of others. And truly great people, every one of them that I have studied or seen, when we look at Nelson Mandela, when we look at Mother Teresa, when we look at Oprah Winfrey, when we look at Spurgeon and the great theologians, they all lived a life of service. Money is beautiful, money is wonderful, it brings ease. But when we talk about fulfillment, really living a fulfilled life, I think the answer lies in service. The answer lies in service. And I like money, don't get me wrong. I work hard to earn. I told you in another video that I have 3 side hustles. Or 4, I don't know. But the true fulfillment is when I sit with people, when I reach out and I know I have made a difference. And I hope you can find where you can serve. And like I'm saying, it doesn't have to be deep. Start where you are with who you know. How can you reach out to people? And just become the truest, highest expression of yourself. What does the best you look like? And then pursue that by taking small steps. But I also know doing that can be hard. I also know that doing that can be very, very hard because, like I have said, this page has evolved for years, yo. I haven't... story for another day. And because I know that it's hard, so I'm trying to create tools for people who are like me, who you're a Christian, but sometimes you feel like your Christian relationship struggles a bit. You want more out of life, right? Maybe you even have a job, but sometimes you're just like, why do I show up to this job? I hate it so much. Fortunately for me, I've always been deliberate. I don't take a job that I hate. If a job doesn't help people, if a job doesn't and I mean help people in a way that my eyes can see, I have never taken a job like that. Every job I have taken is one that helps people, and I can see it. I can see the communities. It's tangible to me. That's always been important to me. So fortunately, I've never been a person who hated my job because I hated what I did. No, I may in the past have hated my job because of poor leadership, because of poor leadership mostly, and I may have left jobs because of that, where I felt like, you know what, I was feeling undervalued, and not in pay, undervalued in the value I was bringing. But I've never taken a job where I felt like, oh, I hate it. No, I've always been deliberate about that. But I also know there are people who are in jobs that they don't like at all. So are you a Christian? Your relationship is struggling and you want more out of life. Maybe you have great relationships, but you still feel like it could be more, and you want some adventure out of life. You want to build legacy. And so I'm now building a lot of tools for people who are in that space, people who are wanting to grow. And one of the tools that I am building is a reflection that I have built, and I will share it tomorrow, is our POP end of year. Yes, it's our POP end of year reflection too. So it's our POP tracker, right? So the year began this year. You had some goals, or maybe you didn't. That's still okay. We're tracking what did you do, and where can we celebrate? What are the places of celebration? Where could you have been better? And moving forward, what can we do? Basically, so it's our progress over perfection end of year tracker. This is reflecting is important, because if you don't know where you're coming from, it's very difficult to make progress to where you are going. And that's why this tool is so important. Now, to access this free tool, please WhatsApp me your email address. I am creating a mailing list. Inboxing me is a bit tricky because on this platform right here where I'm talking to you, I am managing my Instagram inbox. I'm managing my personal Facebook account inbox, and I'm managing the Mindpreneur inbox as well. So it gets tricky to sort through those messages. But with WhatsApp, it's a little easier because all the messages are in one place and I can see them clearly. If you know anything about Facebook, too many random messages. So before you go there, just like, oh, you have to psych yourself. But on WhatsApp, it's easier for me to see the messages. Once I sit down at the end of the week or twice a week, I can easily sort through. And because I have people buying the book there, I'm answering to messages much quicker. So do send me your email address on my WhatsApp. Let's engage on my WhatsApp. On my WhatsApp, I share, you have your verse of the day. I share some inspiring quotes, some things to get you going on those progress over perfection. But most importantly, for next year, I will be developing, like I have said, some free tools, some tools for sale to help us grow on the personal development journey. So for you to access this free POP end of year tracker, send me your email on my WhatsApp so that I can send this to you. So yeah, you also, if you want to buy the book Investment Simplified, it's only 50 kwacha. Price goes to 100 kwacha 1st December. So you have your, and what I love about putting out this POP tracker at this point in time is because you're going to reflect, and if you want to start investing, right? If you want to start investing, you will know from Investment Simplified what investments suit you better. If you have low risk, you'll be looking at government bonds. If you are more apt to, if you are an adrenaline junkie, you can look at stocks, right? So there's a lot you can learn from that book, but also with this POP tracker at the end of the year, you can reflect on how much money did you make this year, where can you invest in yourself, and how can you begin on your investment journey. So this is, like I've said, it's a completely free tool. I have developed it in a way that it will be very easy for you to use so that you can just write down where you are coming from and also where you want to go next year. Make 2023 a year when you are clear on where you are going. And even if you don't become a multi-million, look, what I'm trying to say is that I want to be a millionaire in dollars. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say over here. So I'm not there yet, but I am excited because that's a bigger goal. We hustle for purpose. So please, please, please send me your email to my WhatsApp so that I can add you to the mailing list. And the mailing list is better than WhatsApp in the sense that WhatsApp is good for us for instant communication, but with the mailing list you will get book reviews. If you're a lazy reader, I will help you get started on the reading journey, because we have said that we are wanting to take steps to the bigger vision of who we are, right? So reading is a very important component of that. And sometimes jumping right at the heart of big books can be challenging. So I'll be trying to summarize books for you that I have already read, that I am reading, to help you grow. I have talked a lot, but the most important thing is get identity. We said it is the culmination of our beliefs, and these beliefs ultimately turn out to be who we are and how we show up in life. So it's the building of these things. Why is it important? Even if some things are true of us, like I am not a morning person, I don't need to act on them. I can still be I can't be a morning person, but I can still do things to maximize my mornings and not hurt other people in the process. So the question is, how can you work around who you are to achieve the best version of yourself? More importantly, surround yourself with the right people, your support system, your immediate family and close friends. Teach what you already know so that other people can also speak into what you know, and you never know what information you can get. Get a mentor. Mastery, like I said, Shadrach Chartered Accountant and Munyumba and Mr. Sinyangwe did a video on Mastery 2 weeks ago. Go over to their pages and see that. Write down 10 people who you aspire to be, and then emulate those from the least easiest person to become, and then get clear on who you want to be. What is the grand vision? Great, you have that. what are the smaller steps you can take? Then after this video, go over to my WhatsApp and send me your email, and then save my number as the Mindpreneur so that you don't miss out on all the daily inspiration I will be putting up on my status, but also you don't miss the book reviews, the events I will be having, the speaking engagements I will be having on this personal development journey. And I legit want to connect with you. I legit would like to be your friend. I legit just want to hear where you're at in life and where you want to go, and hopefully we can grow together. Like I am saying, I'm not there yet, and I'm just excited that I finally come to a place where I'm sort of figuring it out, and and we can get there together. We can get there together. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I have to love and leave you. This has been Wupe. Thank you, Kazella Matthews Lucia, for joining. It's always so good to have one or two or more people here. Shibukata, good to have you. It's always good to be here. It's always good to chat to you, and thank you so much for engaging with the content on this platform. And yeah, so have a good night. Have a great week ahead. I will still be here making noise and posting incessantly as I do. So until the next live or the next post, this has been Wupe, the Mindpreneur. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you on the other side, and good night.